I guess we'll get started. And um, so, what we're doing is we're doing the expanded consciousness. I just hit record, so hopefully everybody can get a recording when we're done with this. So, what we normally do is every other Tuesday, we would get together and we would do our expanded consciousness meeting where we would just do different things throughout the month. And we had such a good time doing it, but we took a break and now we're doing it virtually through the computer due to the fact that the thing is keeping us inside.
Thing one and thing two, thing
Yeah,
19.
it's keeping us inside. And so normally Deborah's there to open the door for us. And we end up going on in and having a good time. So I'm going to open the floor up to you, Deborah, just so that you can um, give us a little bit of information in regards to what's going on astrologically.
All right, Miss Candy, it's good to see everybody, and I missed everybody when we were on our little journey of not being together, and now we are. So when we take a bird's eye view as to what's going on today and for the next couple of days, of course, we've got the sun that's in Aries, and then we've got the moon that's in Cancer. So that kind of like speaks to the overcast that's going on today. Cancer, you're thinking about family, it's real touchy, real emotional. And then you got Aries is like, get up off that couch, go get something done. And then the
Right.
Cancer is like, nah, I'm just gonna chill. And so based on the field, it looks like the Cancer has won for the majority of us. Then when we look at Pisces, you've got Mercury and you've got Neptune, and then what kind of conversation is that like? And it's like with the Neptune, that's illusions, it's lies, it's trickery. So you just have to be mindful, and I'll just bring it home to make it personal. What are you telling yourself? What stories are we listening to? Especially like if you're listening to the news, what is that you turned it and you're listening to? Is it the negative? Is it the illusional that everything is not going to be okay? It's very disheartening news. So just be mindful that Mercury is in Pisces, but here's the upswing when it comes to being in Pisces. Pisces is the spiritual energy. So
Right.
we can also know that this is a time when, if we're not on that downswing, that we can have upward momentum and we can have a very spiritual time doing this. And again, the story that we're telling ourselves can be a very good story. All right,
Right.
here's the biggie though. Aquarius, you've got Mars and you've got Saturn, and both of them are at 0 degrees. And the
Mhm.
zero is considered a critical number, as well as 29. And what that critical part just means that it's just very powerful at this particular time. Zero brings divine protection, and by it sitting in Aquarius, because that's where the both of them are sitting in Aquarius at this time. Aquarius is always about the humanitarian part of it, and it's always that quest for freedom. Well, by us sitting at home, we want to be free again.
All right.
But it's a time really that you can be free in your mind, free in your heart. And the heart space is the place where we really need to be free at. So just enjoy this time. And then you got Mars that's invigorating us. So what does the two of them look like? And I like the way that this is worded. It says Mars instills a strong surge of energy, which Saturn directs into your responsibilities and your duties. So this is a good time when we can take a look at everything that we're doing, what we're responsible for, how we're responsible for it, what we need to do to be accountable to ourselves mostly. When you're accountable to yourself, your person, then when you are with someone else, because Aquarius, remember, that's all about the humanitarian side, and we're all feeling that humanitarian energy. We care about what's happening. It's not just happening locally. This is throughout the planet. So it's calling for a planet consciousness that we can become involved in. Then, of course, in Capricorn, you've got Jupiter, you've got Pluto. They're still there. Jupiter, of course, is the planet of expansion. And it's also the a part that's in there that's an exaggeration too. In other words, it makes everything bigness. And we've been talking about bigness even before we went on our little time of having our little space, and we were talking about bigness. Well, here in Capricorn, because Capricorn is the earth, it's the authority, it's all the key people, the principles, the president, the powers, all the powers that may be with the P. So we're looking at our government. All of this is under the microscope, and it's real big at this time. And of course, Pluto is doing transformation. You talk about some transformation, baby, is happening.
Right.
And then you got this in Taurus, you've got Venus and you've got Uranus. And Uranus, again, that's the non-conformity. And then, of course, Venus is that ruling planet for Taurus. So it's putting some little love energy in there, too. Taurus and Venus is all about our money, too. So economics definitely is at the forefront of everybody's mind. You know, what are we going to do when it comes to, I mean, we're going to do like we always do. We going to make it.
Right.
And so pretty much that just pretty much sums up everything, highlighting where we at from a bird's eye view deep down in the ground.
Right. Yeah. That's good. That's good because of all of the things that's going on with Capricorn. And then on top of that, with the moon in Cancer, and with us being secluded, or whatever word you want to use, we do get a chance to nurture ourselves with that moon in Cancer on an ultimate level. Yeah. Also, people are getting in touch with their past, things that have been happening. They're reviewing a lot. We're coming out of the Mercury retrograde, and just coming out of the Mercury retrograde and all of this having to halt, I think it has given people even more time to do the things that the universe is inspiring them to do on a big level. Yeah. Because just like we're getting ready, the powers that be are getting ready to do the things that they're going to do as well. We can't really ignore that.
No, for the whole planet.
Yeah, for the whole planet.
It is.
And with that, Jupiter just expanding such a constricting energy, we're breaking out of those concrete realities that we talked about at the beginning of the year. And this is a real big break out of the concrete reality that we've been in. And I just love having the luxury of being able to understand that on an astrological level, because it causes you to look at it and know that you see it, so you don't panic as much because it is written, you know. And so to be able to have just a few people to discuss it with is always just a good thing. So here, did you mute yourself there?
Can you hear me?
I just unmuted you. I don't remember muting you. I muted you, Christine, but I unmuted you. So, so Christine, what have you been feeling in regard? You was going into a little bit of it before, but what's been going on with you shift-wise since we last got up last year?
Oh, I think the biggest thing was recalibrating the chakras, the higher up ones, the soul star, like, because there's this one, I remember this lady was explaining it in a way of like your life purpose and things like that, and it's like the one kind of like up here, and a lot of times you can be following your purpose and you don't even know, so it's fine. But if you stray too far off of it, then it'll be bothering you. You don't even know why. You can be doing great things. It's just not what you're supposed to be doing. So I didn't realize it was like that was bothering me. Like I needed to go back to like the real world for a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, because I did a corporate job for a hot minute. I was like an auditor, and it was you know, and it was cute because when I get there, why I run into a lady who is a fellow Scorpio Sun Capricorn Moon.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh, what's that, Marilyn?
That's Marilyn trying to get in here. Marilyn, is your camera working?
Turn it on. There's a button.
Where's the camera at?
Huh?
Tell me where the camera is at on my phone.
It's in the options.
Well, it should ask you, do you want to access your camera?
Video.
Yeah, video. You see a little camera icon.
Let me see. Let me go back.
Okay, you can go ahead, Christine, while she's working on that.
Start. Okay, wait a minute. This. Am I supposed to click on where it says start video? Start video.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me click that.
There you go. Hey.
Do you all see me?
Yes.
And
Okay.
if you swipe, you can see all four of us at the same time too.
Okay, if I do what?
If you swipe to the, to the right? Yeah, there you go. Swipe, then you can see all of our faces instead of just whoever's talking.
Oh, I just learned something. Hey, everybody.
See, now it's all four of us. Hey.
Yeah.
This is just like old times, right?
Get the hair right.
So, Marilyn, what we're doing is Christine was in the middle of telling us her shifts. And of course, you got to tell us yours, and we're going to share things. So, Christine, what were you saying about your shifts?
Oh, yeah, just about like getting back into the normal world for a minute and kind of like taking a step away. And so that way spirit could like surprise me with things.
Right.
Because I feel like sometimes when you keep putting out manifestations and wanting to see things, spirit is like, hey, yeah, okay. But then it was almost like tired of proving it to me. You know, it was like, you should just know by now. Like,
exactly.
Like you used to know.
Exactly.
I feel like a friend of mine tried to tell me that. It was like, we've been best friends. And for years, he was like, you know how we became friends? We was in that group, and the group was disbanding, and you called a meeting with me and was like, out of everybody here, I want us to still be cool. I want us to be friends with these other people. A little birdie told me to be friends with you. And I forgot. Back in the day, I used to say that. Like, a little birdie told me.
Right.
But I didn't hear no weird sounds or nothing. It would just be, that was my way of saying my intuition is telling me you cool. Like, and I completely forgot. So it's like all these things I thought were revelation weren't. It was shit I had been knew, forgot. And my brain was like, you forgot how cool you are. Like,
right.
So it's like I had to take a break so they could surprise me. How y'all been?
All right. Okay. So Marilyn, did you want to share, or you still getting settled?
I'm trying to find my little stand, but I can talk while I'm going down these steps. So what was the question again?
Well, you know, it's been a while since we've all met in one place, and I just wanted to get a little update, a little small update on everybody on some of the shifts that have taken place since we had our last expanding consciousness meeting.
Oh, shifts. I've had a shift in accepting the truth.
Wow, crumbling realities, yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, and by that I mean it's like, well, you know a thing is a thing, and you just like, this is it.
Yeah.
So, and that's just in several things, especially really here lately. So I think that's a good thing for me because it's time.
Right.
Right.
You know, who wants to be miserable
Right.
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 forever? I mean,
feel that.
it's too much to do. And then, you know, another shift is when you really do recognize your worth. You know,
Recognizing your worth. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, you know, it's like, no, that's not worth it. When you recognize your worth, it's like it's time to do something about it.
That's right. That's right. Because if you don't recognize it, nobody else is.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even if nobody else does, you have to come to some kind of knowing within yourself that even if you don't recognize it, which you want people to recognize it, but you know, I'm like this, y'all. Some things is just not worth it. Some things is not worth disturbing your peace, your path, your life. And I'm also shifting from this train of thought is that you think that you are losing something. You're not really losing nothing.
Right.
You're really gaining more insight about yourself. So you just deal with it and keep on going. You bury it, because I'm going to be burying some things tomorrow.
Good, good. You know, when you were talking about interrupting your peace, I had read something from the Gospel of Thomas on a blog talk that I was on with William McKee. And the verse says, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over all. So sometimes becoming troubled and our peace being disturbed, like it is now, and like it is when we run into these relationships or we get involved with people that we think are going to be good business partners and they're not, or good work buddies and they're not, or good relationship people and they're not. That is what causes us to seek, and then we're amazed, and then we grab hold of the concept, and then we master it. So that's what sounds like has happened pretty much across the board with everybody, where when we first started on the expanding consciousness, everybody was in something. Now we're on the other side of it, and we can look at it and say, oh my God, first of all, it wasn't that bad. It was not that bad.
Right.
Only what we told ourselves.
Yeah, it always seems like it when you're in it, and then when you get out of it, you say, oh my God, it wasn't that bad. But we kind of forget that it's not that bad, and we get in another situation and we kind of feel the same way sometimes. And we have to constantly remember that it's not that bad, but that things come to show us our higher selves.
Right.
Yeah.
I
It
like
does.
what Christine was talking about when she was saying that in regards to manifestation, because that's what we kind of like the point where we left off at, go manifest. And it's like she was saying, you know, we've been manifesting all the time anyway.
Exactly.
But it's just now being more specific as to what it is that you are creating and accepting the fact that we are creators. And having that value part added to it. And when it unfolds, when you're not trying to make something happen, because that's generally when we get what we don't want because we're trying to make it happen.
Right.
Relax. And you taught us that just relaxing and just simply coming from the heart space, the mind space, and when those two meet in the middle, then you are getting what you truly desire. And it's like, you know, taking your time, not trying to rush anything to make it be something else, because this stuff is magical. And when we realize that and can sit back and say, I'm creating, this goes right back to what we're saying, and we are responsible for what we are bringing into our world.
Well, you know what? And to your point with that, that's good. But see, I'm just going to be transparent for myself. I had to get to that place because I had to recognize, because you know, you're learning these kinds of things. And I had to recognize, number one, that you are bringing into your life what you don't want, because it's a projection of your own self a lot of times. And then phase one, then phase two, then I had to go and learn, okay, where am I off the track at with what I don't want? Because I hadn't even thought about what I wanted, because I'm having to learn what I don't want by what came. And so for me, this is a wonderful experience of learning. And so now I'm at the place of like, okay, well, this is what I want. This is what I deserve. I am enough. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I don't even beat myself up anymore much. I'm even learning not to even do that. But see, even that's a process, because you know what? We've been so taught so fucking, oh, excuse me.
Go for it. We grown. We can cuss.
Christine's already christened us.
Oh, excuse me. I'm acting like, you know.
No, my Detroit comes out.
But okay.
It's okay.
Okay, great. But this is like a learning curve. But I can tell you this much right here. Once I got it and I've learned it,
can't go back.
No, you don't want to go back.
Right.
For what?
You can't go back.
That's
and
right.
The thing about not being able to go back is you lose a sense of innocence.
Oh.
So you're not really wowed by the things that you were wowed by before, because you can now see through them. But sometimes you kind of have to act like it a little bit, because sometimes people will think that, you know, oh, you're just, you know, just too whatever. So sometimes you have to see what you don't see sometimes, because I notice that I can see right through stuff, and I just sometimes don't even want to call it out, because you'll do it all the time almost, because you're like, wow, I see the blind man.
Yep. Like the catching yourself, because it's like, sometimes if you said it so many times, if the person don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you saying it to the little face, they just don't hear it because they don't want to. Like, but I like what you were saying earlier about that, like, because I think right now, even like what Marilyn was saying about the self-worth and like knowing who you are and then not wanting it anymore. Sometimes we think we know what we want, but we actually don't. So the universe is going to be like, here's all this random other shit. So then you can, which option? You want A, B, C, or D? And so then you get to pick like, you know, I liked A for a while, but you know what? I only like A for 3 months.
Okay, now Wayne is real quiet, but he's in the room. Is your sound connected, Wayne?
Oh, this way.
Can you hear us, Wayne? Okay.
It sounds on.
It's just gonna be.
But you know what, Christine, I'm gonna tell you something. And I will agree that age has a lot to do with it, because the longer that you live, you do become clear about what it is that you desire. And to me, there's such a separation in those two words of want. And want to me has been in my life what everybody else said that I should do. So I believed what everybody else said that I should do, and I tried to do what everybody else said that I should do. And that was that Deborah's frame. And stepping from the old things having passed away and stepping into this new person, because Marilyn and I had a conversation about this earlier. I am definitely not that old person who had the teachings of the parents and the do it this way, don't do it that way, because I tried everybody's way. And that's what set me on a path to seek, like the good Sagittarius I seek, that I already know, because our spiritual side, our soul does actually know what it is. And that's what I've been seeing that's unfolding in my life. And believe it or not, when I look at it, how it's been unfolding, alongside of all that old stuff was there, it was actually happening too. So looking at the both of them happening simultaneously while the old nature was falling off, because that's that willingness, and I think we talked about that in one of our classes that you did, that willingness, and that's where everything just starts to become clearer, and the path that you're on, it's like it becomes sure-footed. And if for any reason that I have to take another path, I understand, because lessons are lessons, and sometimes I have to veer off for a lesson because it's not all what I think it should be, because I'm still learning. I'm always the student. So I am a lot clearer about what it is that's desired for why I'm here versus what I thought that I want, because I don't want what I thought that I want, but now it's greater a desire of what the soul's purpose is here for.
Right.
I think too, piggybacking on what Deborah is saying and even what Marilyn was saying, knowing you are enough, being clear about what you want, but also what comes easier is when you do run into something that you may have missed in your manifesting, you are able to let go.
Yeah.
If it's not for you, that ability to be connected but not attached is priceless, because then it allows you to have more confidence in playing with the universe a little bit more, because before you learn how to become detached but you remain connected, you're a little bit uptight because you don't want to make a mistake. Yeah. But once you realize, oh, I can make a mistake because I'm not bound to it. I can erase it. I can get away from it. I can, I can move on from it. I'm more resilient
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to take me out like I thought it was. So that's that whole feeling of reflecting on, okay, this, I've been here before. I know I have to let go. I have to let it go through me. And I think I used that in a conversation I had before on Blog Talk when I was talking about the ability that mothers have to give birth. But at the same time, right after you give birth, you remember the experience, but you're not so attached to it that you can't do it again.
Right.
Have that baby that second time, even if the birth is different, you have the spirit of, I gotta go with the flow. As opposed with that first birth, you're like, I gotta do this, I gotta eat this right, I gotta be able to, you're more trying to control it. After
Right.
you realize that you can't control it, but you're not gonna die. Usually, women do die in childbirth, but you're not gonna die. You're pretty much like, okay, whatever needs to happen, we're gonna go with it. And then right after we have our babies, what happens? That experience goes from a painful experience to a nurturing experience. Your body produces milk. You begin to bond. You begin to take all of that experience from that pain and separate it and turn it into a nurturing experience. So being able to do that with the experiences that we have gone through and be able to pass this thing on to other people and say, hey, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Let go and let God,
Right
Mary.
on. Yeah, you let go because it doesn't serve your highest good.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
Yeah.
And that's that's the truth to yourself. That is your truth that you have. Well, I've decided to walk in with a few things. You detach, you let it go. It's not gonna kill you, and it didn't kill you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you get to the reality of like, I've got things that I need to be doing.
Yes.
This is taking up my energy and my time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
let it go. Now, letting go is not always sometimes easy to do. And sometimes you let go in increments.
Very
But
good. Yeah.
but you are letting it go until it, like, it's what we used to say, it's out of your system.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That just goes to like just what's happening now in Aquarius. And when you said the letting go and the detaching, it just brought it back to a surreal moment, because when you look at Mars and you look at Saturn, those two energies are together in Aquarius. And Aquarius is that part of us that says you can let go. And most people, the biggest question is, well, how do I let go? And it's detaching. And you do it from a healthy perspective, because most people, I know from experience, when I was learning what forgiveness was all about, it was still holding on, but detaching is the healthiest way to do it. And studying it from the Aquarius energy, they got it. They know how to do it. And that Aquarian energy is in all of us. Detaching is the healthiest way to do it, so that when you go to the next relationship, because there's going to be other relationships after that relationship. It doesn't mean, it doesn't matter if it's career, if it's school, if it's, because it's all about networking when it comes to the Aquarian energy. It's all about that oneness coming together. And detaching is the most important part of it. So we've got Mars that's in there. We've got Saturn. And I remember I said it's at 0 degrees critical. So that means that we got that forceful energy that's back there that's saying, okay, you're ready to detach? I'm going to be that assistance for you to help you since you're willing and since that's what you really desire to do is to let that thing go. So for the next couple of days, you know, look at the different things that you may be holding on to and that you want to detach from. This is the perfect time that the universe has sent those two energies that can help us to break all that shit up.
Right, right. Also, think about the fact that you have the earth, wind, and fire elements all together.
Yeah.
So you got everything that you need to basically work that energy. The thing about Aquarius, because I have Aquarius moon, so I guess I can speak a little bit on Aquarius. Plus, when I do my readings, Aquarians are usually the last ones. People think that Aquarians are not, actually, whatever your gift is supposed to be, that's also your lesson.
Yeah.
Aquarians have a hard time detaching.
Aquarius what?
Aquarius have a hard time detaching. But when they do,
Yeah.
they've learned a lesson. And then they,
Right.
because their classic ruler is Saturn. So what happens with Aquarius, Aquarians have a lot of past life guilt, because in their past life they were ruled by Saturn, but in their current life they're ruled by Aquarius, which is freedom. So whenever I do readings for Aquarius, that general energy that's there, I notice what happens is that they have all good cards. They have the Ace of Pentacles, they have the Ace of Cups, they have love, they have money, they have everything. But they always, when I clarify them, they always have the but, or the what if, or this might happen, or that might happen. So they're fixed sign, they get stuck.
Yeah.
They feel guilty. They have to go through all of that before they move. And I'm saying that with this Saturn in Aquarius, you got the Saturn and that Uranus energy going back and forth. So people in general are going back and forth with that. But this being quarantined is going to get people unstuck. Because what it's doing is that situation that you thought you could tough out, now you're stuck in it and you can't wait for this to be over so you can jet out of there, you know, and use that Uranus energy. So I think that this is going to be so good for people to sit with themselves, because a lot of times people feel like, oh, well, I can tough this out because they've been going to work, they've been preoccupied, they've been going to the bar after they get off work, they've been going to visit friends when they get off work. Many of them are cheating in their relationships and lying and doing all of this shadow stuff to try and appear like they got it all together. Now you got to sit in that. And I think that with all of this energy that I'm watching and that you're talking about, it looks like they're going to be making some serious decisions when all of this is over. These transformations are going to be really explosive. And I'm looking forward to just, I'm gonna have my popcorn, be like, wow. And, you know, and myself as well, you know.
Yeah, we're included.
So everybody, all of you who know people, and then coming off the Mercury retrograde and not being able to do, because people were coming off Mercury retrograde and they were like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. You can't do nothing. And then you got this energy building it all up. So it's like you got people ready to just, so we're gonna be getting an avalanche of people coming at us. We're gonna be going after the things that we desire. And it's just getting ready to be some revelations going on.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
But you said something, Candy, about the Aquarian. Will detach, but have to have it's almost like you have to exit out with your detachment. Like what you were saying, like it's not that easy to attach. Now that's true.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done, sir?
You're saying it's not that easy to detach, but once you do, it's done.
Yeah, because
Right.
it's like, okay, it's like, I know I'm gonna detach. It's like you already know that. It's like you know the end from the beginning, but it's like, how am I going to do this? It's
That's the
almost like,
getting stuck in your head because
yeah,
Aquarius is the
Air
air sign.
sign.
So you're trying to figure it out up here. But the
Yeah.
whole lesson is by the time you connect here, that's what moves you.
oh,
See, a
I
lot
get
of
it.
times, like if you got cancer people that's already attached, you know, and all in here, they got to balance out. They got to come up here and they got to say, okay, I can't be so empathetic with this situation. I let it eat me up.
Right.
Air signs, we have to be like, well, I can't be so logical in this that I try to outthink myself in it and end up thinking yourself into a hole. So
Oh, yeah.
getting that heart in there to help you get out of that paralyzing mental state is good, because a lot of people think because we stay in relationships that we're in it, and air signs have been gone long time
Oh
ago,
wow.
you know.
Yeah.
What you say, Christine, for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because it's the slow detach. It's like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm not gonna do this anymore. And then slowly it's just like, where'd they go? Because I was joking with a friend of mine
But
about
that's
how
what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Aquarius is.
saying.
That's
That's
how they view
exactly what you're
people
saying. I know what you're
too.
saying.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's like that, like the opposite side of two coins thing. I joked with a friend of mine, like, if Aquarius likes you, you'll know, because it'll seem like you met them one day and then 2 months later they your best friend and you don't know how it happened. It's like, and it's because they kept coming to you. So when they decide to detach, they keep leaving you. You know what I mean? It's almost like, it's like they just completely flip it. It's like, instead of always being like, you were over there, you were over there, you were behind me, how did you get next to me? It's like how they roll up on you.
True.
Like a shadow, warrior, and so they will just like shadow out. Like they'll be like, okay, and bye. Like I'm in my Saturn return in Aquarius, y'all. It just started, and I was like, and I told my mom, like, do you not understand that we both going through this at the same time because you had me during your, Saturn return? And
Wow.
so,
Most people
yeah,
have their children during their Saturn
Yeah.
return. I
exactly.
had Taylor during my Saturn return. Most
Yeah,
people
that's
get
one of the
divorced
things
during
that can happen.
return. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of things
so
happen.
I was like, oh, let me read up. No wonder I've been reading up on Aquarius. I had to get ready. Like, I had to get ready for the Saturn return.
Let me
Yeah,
bring up.
but when we're gone, we're gone.
That's right. Let me bring this up, and this is going to bring home some stuff. This was our meeting one, where we were talking about the 5 advantages of expanding consciousness. You master your reality. We're doing that. You minimize issues. We were just talking about that, how we're like, oh, it wasn't so bad. You have authority over your emotions, where you're not wanting so badly that you're clouding your judgment, where I just gotta have this, I gotta have that, and you begin to manifest your desires. And some of the perceived disadvantages which we've experienced are we outgrow relationships. Hallelujah. We become comfortable with being alone. All right. You're
Yeah.
more comfortable with the unfamiliar. You don't have to have everything all figured out. Other people will begin to criticize you when you begin to expand. Also, people will misunderstand you. They won't
Yes.
get it, just like they did with Jesus. What manner of man is this? They considered him a mystic. We don't understand. Who is this joker? And that's how people look at you when you begin to expand. And I think all of us have done that beautifully.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Mhm.
Looks like we covered everything down, and we doing great.
Well, the meeting 2 was about, and this is for other people who will see this later. Meeting 2 was about the 7 signs that you're actually ready to expand. Your preferences for people, places, and things change.
Oh,
That has happened.
absolutely.
Yes.
Changes in sleeping habits. Who among us has not had a change in their sleeping habits?
Everybody has.
Okay, changes in appetite for food and sex. Okay, this change happens whether you want it to or not, because a lot of the times when you're evolving and then your preference for people, places, and things change, what happens is you have to make that shift to that new reality of who you're going to date with. Your obligations no longer fill you with meaning. So the things that we were once obligated to, we're like, that doesn't mean anything to me anymore. And you're ready to just walk away from things that you once felt bound by.
Ooh, say that again.
Yeah. You want to know everything there is to learn about yourself inside and out. Have we not been doing that?
I'm through.
I mean, we've been so excited to say, like, who am I? Who am I? And then when we say, who am I? What do? We say, who are you? Nice to meet you. We become excited to really see other people on a deeper level. It's like when people say, you know, what's your name and what do you do? We're already past all of that. When people are talking to us, we're looking into their soul at this point. And we're like, hey, when you expand, you can't help it. So when people are talking to you, you're on a whole nother level. And sometimes you have to say, I see you. And I don't even know what I'm talking about. I see you. I hear what you're saying, but I see you, you know. And so time seems to get away from you. When you expand your consciousness, time speeds up. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe time has gotten away from me, because you have been in the wondrous energy of just with source and getting powerful and stronger. And you have been overcoming, and people who once knew you were like, well, what's going on? And you like, I can't explain it. You can get on with me, or you can just stay back there and watch me, but I can't even explain it. You know, and are ready to discover something more, right? This was something that we've all done that. We've all done that. Okay, so anybody want to add to that? That was meeting 2.
I agree.
Okay.
I concur.
I agree.
Yeah. We also connect the dots. We rise above worldly concerns. We begin to heal our bodies. How many of you can feel yourself healing your body, especially in this time? How many of you have been talking to your cells? How many of you have been commanding your cells to regenerate, to do what they need to do, to come into this area and come to that area, to do whatever they need to do? How many of you now, especially when we get the meditations at the center, when Apostle does the meditations, and when we do our own meditations, and we now can close our eyes and just see what our body is doing inside, that's appreciation. That's being expanded. People aren't doing that. When you close your eyes and you can see your heartbeat, and you can see your cells running around, and you can see your body responding to everything that's going on, you are there. You can talk to your body and tell it to do whatever you want to tell it to do. And it doesn't matter what's on the news. It doesn't even matter. You're going above that. And we are attracting higher quality relationships. And whether you see it or not, whether it's here or not, higher quality people are watching us, and they are attracted to us, and they are coming. They're coming. And this whole waiting period, this holding cell has caused people who've ever met us in our past to say, as soon as this is over, I'm going to go to Apostle. I let that opportunity pass. I'm going to go to Maryland. I let that opportunity pass. She was so powerful, Christine. And I got to get to this opportunity. I took those for granted. Deborah kept talking to me about this, and I need to get with Deborah. People are thinking about the seeds that we have planted. And we are going to reap the benefits of those when this is all over. So get ready, because people are awakening. We are ahead of our time. When we expand our consciousness, we are ahead of everybody else. So when we talk to people, they don't hear us. They don't know the sacrifices that we make in order to make space for them. For people, when we open ourselves up, they don't even realize it. So now that they're cut off from our energy, they're going to say, wow, I got to get back to that. And they're going to want to invest in that and give back. And then here's the reciprocity, getting ready to finally come back without it being just going out constantly. You know, because we've done the work.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody want to add?
Say on, say on.
Wow.
In one of the other meetings, we were talking about the 7 important things to remember when manifesting. The importance of a firm will. A firm will. Deborah, where is the will? The will is in the heart.
It's in the heart.
It's in the heart. It rules Leo. It's in the heart. The importance of affirming what is true. Well, what is true is not necessarily the reality out there, but the reality in here.
Right.
Right? The importance of the invisible. We have got to make friends with what we cannot see. When we're talking about that expansion, that expanded mind, it's not about what has manifested already in the 3D. It's what has manifested before it has even gotten here.
Yes.
And being intimate with that is what actually brings it forth. It brings it forth. Remember when we were kids and we used to play and we used to imagine? I'm going to just speak for myself. I remember I was imagining that I was going to be a mother. I was going to have children. I was going to have a house. I was going to have a car. I was going to be an adult. I was imagining what my adult life would look like. And I was talking it out. I was playing it out. I would get little props and I would, we getting back into that is so important, for people, young people who want to get married. Go on and get you a ring and put it on your own finger and imagine you waking up with the person who it makes you feel the way that you want to feel, the job you want. Imagine already having the meeting and somebody saying, congratulations, you start Monday or what have you, or imagine that plaque or whatever it is. Imagine that you're flying and you've landed into this airport and you're on a business deal and you shook hands to close that deal and you go to sleep with that already in. That's affirming what is true. That's affirming what is true. Not that the coronavirus is here and we can't get out the house. That's not the truth, right? That's not your truth. That's a situation, right? So the importance of sacrifice. A lot of times we don't want to make the sacrifice. There's a net in here. I hate when they get like right up in your face. You don't want to make the sacrifice. But look, How many of us have been forced to make the sacrifice?
Mm.
We try to avoid the sacrifice. Oh, I'm going to go down this road. Oh, there's a sacrifice. I'm going to go down this road. And then you end up having to make the sacrifice anyway, back up and go back down the road you started to go down before, right? The importance of certainty, knowing without a shadow of a doubt that what it is that we've been wanting to do for so long is going to happen. It's going to happen. How many times as children were we told Santa Claus is coming when you went to bed? Those who believed in Santa Claus was like, okay, I know Santa Claus is coming. You went to bed with that certainty. And when you woke up, some kids who were fortunate enough, they had that happen. Kids who were not fortunate enough, guess what? They had to grow up quick. They had to go through some changes and realize, okay, Santa Claus ain't coming. I'm gonna have to be Santa Claus. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. But if you can connect to that childlike feeling of going to bed with that certainty that the bicycle or the baby doll was going to be there, and you're like going to sleep as a 50-year-old, 40-year-old, 30-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, if you can go to bed with that every night feeling, it's going to happen. Then the importance of commitment. Being committed. So regardless of what it looks like now, we're still committed to that end goal of paths, of buildings. And Christine, what's yours?
Building?
No, just whatever it is that you want.
Ooh.
You were talking about something earlier. I thought,
Oh man, it's bad. Okay. Well, it's like I had this realization the other day that I want everything. And I know that sounds like, wait, what? But like, it's almost like I was lying to myself and acting like, oh, I'll be okay with a few things. When you know you want everything.
right.
And what everything is if you think of that like wheel, when they say of like relationships, career, love, blah, 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 like all that stuff. It's like, I want all of that stable, basically. And technically, stability is comfortable. And the spirit kept making me uncomfortable. So I could see that you're uncomfortable because you've been uncomfortable for a long time. Everything is not how you want it to be. It was almost like you want everything, so that's why you actually have like nothing. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like you wanted it so bad. It's like none of it was going on. So that was like a harsh truth instead of like a beautiful lie that I wanted to tell myself.
Right.
Yeah. And it came from a song. It's so funny. I was listening to a like old playlist, like my old high school playlist, and there's this song called Beautiful Lie. And I remember as a teenager, I used to listen to it, and there's this part where he says, it's a beautiful lie. It's a beautiful disaster. And it was just like that idea of like, if you don't understand that, if you grew up in chaos, you can become addicted to chaos because you get used to it.
Yeah.
And so having a routine inside of the chaos in spite of someone is very different than doing it because you want to do it for yourself. And so I started realizing I was such a put together child because my world was chaotic. So then once I was an adult, it was easy to do it until chaos hit me. And then I was like, oh, well, actually, I know exactly what this feels like. And you know what? I'm fine with repeating old patterns because fuck it, we here now. Like, it was kind of like that.
Right.
That's not you. That was not you. That you were the kid who was like, oh, this is all fucked up. Well, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Like, I was in Michigan and I said, I'm moving to North Carolina. I'm going to college. Like, and I did that. And it was an 8-year dream, but it happened because I quit. I had a goal and I made sure to make that motherfucking goal. And then it was like, oh, I'm graduating college because people thought you're just going to move to North Carolina and wash out. You're just going to be there for like a year and have to come back to Michigan. And I was like, oh, proving you wrong. Like, and so I started realizing if there's no one to prove wrong, do you really want to do anything? And it was like,
That's the ego.
That burned me right here, y'all.
Yeah.
Right
That's the
here.
ego.
There's no one to prove wrong. So do you really want it? Like, and it was like, dang. So you got to prove yourself wrong? Like, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah. So that that self-deception, beautiful lie thing, as the Saturn in Aquarius is teaching me, I want to break down systems. And so it's almost like I had to be in a bunch of different stupid systems to see that it wasn't the people, it's the system. We're like taught constantly to lie to each other and to be disconnected and to be these things. And so actually, like, being a good person is like the most difficult thing in the world, because the world is always trying to make you not be one.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's where discipline comes in. That's where discipline comes in, because that's actually the bonus to those things, that when you want true manifesting, is to understand that that is just still a perception. It's still a perception. That was one of the hardest things for me to learn, because my whole mantra was the world isn't fair. I always felt like the world should be fair. And I couldn't understand why it wasn't fair. And when I saw that it's intentionally created not to be fair on the higher level, right? But when you look at how the gazelle gets eaten by the lion, just in that little frame, it looks so unfair, because you're like, run, run, run. Get away, get away. But if you ever see a lion that's hungry and they can't find a gazelle, and they don't have a pride, and they're losing weight and they're dying and they're weak, you switch and say, get the gazelle over there, get the gazelle. And when he gets something to eat, you're like, oh, I'm so glad he didn't die. I'm so glad. So whatever side we're on,
Yep.
we think it's not fair.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah,
it's a perception. It's a perception. So we have to constantly continue to maintain that high vibration, that just because I'm on this side, it doesn't mean it's not necessarily fair. I'm just on this side right now. But the first shall be last and the last shall be first. If you live long enough, and if you allow yourself to be moved and not stay stuck and be obedient, you get to the other side and you say, now I see. Because when I was looking for a job and I couldn't find a job, I was like, this is crazy. I can't believe I can't find a job. And I thought this was so unfair. Okay, so now that I'm looking for a job and I'm on the inside, and they're like, well, just apply.
Right.
You're gonna get the job because you're already here. I'm like, oh, that's fair. But there's somebody else on the other side that's like, I applied for that job 10 times. Why did they post it if they weren't gonna give it to me? I can't believe. So I'm on the other side.
Yep.
So just know, life is hard for me to say it. It's fair, but there are things that you see that are unjust at times, and that need to go outside of us to fix it, can sometimes swallow us up.
Mm-hmm.
That need to prove, to get into ego, because when we're really living, we can be this is the even ground. We can be the oppressed, we can be in the fight, or we can be above it. If you are above it, you can do so much more, you can see so much more, and you can allow God to guide you and use you from up here. If you're in the fight, you're gonna die in there, because you're gonna be sucked in. That's what happened to Malcolm X. That's what happened to Martin Luther King. They got in it and they said, how can I get out of this? I see now. As soon as they woke up and said, oh my God, I've led my people into a burning building because I believed that there was racism. I believed that there was injustice. I started fighting. I got in it. I got everybody all revved up, and it ain't nowhere to go. It ain't nowhere to go. And once they realized that, the people who were playing the game said, game over, time to get rid of you. So they allowed themselves to get in the fight and get used. And they knew. Soon as Malcolm went to Mecca, he said, oh my God,
Yeah.
this doesn't even exist. I've been in America all this time with this fake construct about racism. I go to Mecca and I see all of these different colored people believing in different, I can't believe it. And he comes back and he says, I want out of this matrix. And they say, sorry, you gotta die. And we do the same thing when we're in relationships and we get in the mindset that this relationship needs to be fixed. We had a job and we get in the mindset that this place is terrible. We gotta do something about it. And we get swallowed up. And we stop working on ourselves and we start working outside of ourselves, and we get tired and we start getting sick and we start falling behind and we don't know what's going on. And we think, oh, I need to leave the job. I need to leave the relationship. No, you need to come back.
We're very frustrated.
Right? Right? Oh,
That was good.
That was, I feel that. Yeah, I think that's why when we talked about, we're in the meetings about the whole, like it's not about good and evil. It's about what's best for you in the situation.
Right.
And I feel like this is one of those things where it's like, oh, you thought you weren't a part of that paradigm, but you were. Almost like that was like the harsh truth I had to realize was like, I thought, like, no, I feel like I'm up here. And it's like, no, you're not. You're still in the middle. And how, like, Spirit explained it to me, though, which is, like, the weirdest way, is, like, this concept of the sheep, the wolf, the shepherd, and the bird. And it's like, if a shepherd is someone who's supposed to make sure that all the sheep are fine and away from the wolves, right? But a bird is just kind of, like, flying above it, seeing the bird's eye view. And it's completely removed from the whole situation. And I started noticing that, like, there were times in my life where if you look back and think, oh, why was this person so mean? Like, were you being rude too? Like, you know, it's like I started having, like, those moments of, like, moments where I really didn't think there was anything that I did. And then be like, but what was I could have still done or whatever. And then moments where I felt like someone really, like the opposite basically. And it's like, well, maybe someone did something wrong to you and you just never noticed it. You were like, oh no, it's fine. And so you auto-corrected from that point, but that was not a good point to auto-correct from. Right? Like, oh, well, like when you take the blame, like, oh, that's my fault, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that literally was that person's fault. And you just took the blame for it. Right. So I started noticing where my wires were getting crossed. Oh, that was not someone being a good friend, but you thought it was. So then when you had a good friend, you're doing that same shit to them thinking that's love. Yeah. And so we do that same with relationships. I had dated someone as a teenager who was doing all this really weird, like, emotional abuse kind of stuff. And then I started realizing one day, like, he was too young to have learned that anywhere from his own mama. Yeah. And then I started thinking about, like, his mom was control. So I could have been walking my whole life like, that dude was such a fucking asshole for no reason. Or I could have been like, he was an asshole, but like, it was fine. No, that was a mentally disturbed individual who was clearly abused and was trying to show you love through his, like, the abusive tactics he had learned through his mother, which is the first love he ever knew. Like, that is coming from that big, actual bird perspective. Before you was on shepherd levels, friend. That's bird. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's like, so now he's a neutral person. I'm still a neutral person. No one's a good or bad person anymore.
Right.
Because it's like, oh.
Right.
Well,
You
Now,
ain't know no better. You ain't know no better. Like,
now we only got a few, like 30 minutes left. One of the last things, I never go, this is the last thing that we did. Well, one of the last things that we did, which was, I thought, okay, so we did the ritual, right? But before that, I had introduced this book to everybody, Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, right? Because remember what we were talking about, where we were talking about how we get caught up in all of these scenarios where we think something is reality. We think something's unfair, but we just happen to be on the other side, or we think somebody's treating us this way, but it's because we volunteered for that, because it was a lesson we needed to learn in it, and all of that. Well, life is but a dream, and it's something that we can always change at any time. Our life can be changed at any time if we want to, right? So it's no need for us to spend 30 years doing this and 20 years doing that and 40 years doing the other. So meditation and manifesting is like poverty. The people who need it the most do it the least. I saw it in this last election where people were voting against their best interests. They were voting against free health care. They were voting against loan forgiveness, voting against everything that they felt like they've been talking about and complaining about for so long. And remember how when Moses was leading the children out of Israel and how they were murmuring and they were complaining, and they kept voting against their best interests. When Moses would be like, it's best to do this, they didn't want to do it. So being able to calm down, meditate, get into that dream state enough to where you are able to manifest the things that you want out of life. And the main thing is, number one, Neville Goddard always talks about the concept of self. Our life represents the concept of who we think we are. And when we change that concept of who we think we are, and Marilyn touched on that, first of all, knowing you're enough, knowing what it is that you deserve, valuing yourself. Think about Marilyn Monroe and how desired she was, but she didn't value herself. So a lot of times we think just because people are pulling on us and giving us attention and doing these things, and we think people are valuing us, and they're not. They're just desiring you. When people are neglecting us and not paying us any attention, we think people don't care about us, but they just don't value you. The value, do you know how valuable value is? Like, to appreciate yourself, to say, I am worth so much. When you know that, immediately the dreams you have for yourself become realized, because they don't seem that far off, because you're not focusing on what you don't have. You're focusing on the value that you have inside of you, which is where it all is. And that sounds so cliche. Oh, you're so worthy. You're so valuable. I remember people saying that when I was in my 20s. I was like, why are you telling me this? Oh, do you know how special you are? And when you're young, you're like, I have no idea what that means. And when we're grown, we don't even know what special, what does that mean? What it means is that you have the power, we have the power to make of our lives whatever we want to make of it, if we can get the energy to even want it. Sometimes we get so low that you don't even want it, and you have to just summon the strength to want it. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
Y'all looking at me like I'm the only one, but I have been to a point where I'm like, I don't even know if I want that or not, because you're so used to being disappointed. you squash that desire down and you say, you know what, I don't want it. And you stay there so long that if somebody say, what do you want? You say, you know what, I don't even know. And so then you wake up and you realize how far you are from your hopes, dreams, wishes, and desires. You literally got to conjure up the desire to want what you're supposed to have for yourself. I've been there.
Well, I can say this part for that, like what you just said. But see, I'm at the point where as like, well, you know, like, hell, I don't even want that. You know what I'm saying? But coming up out of the rabbit's hole, okay, then I know what I want.
That's right.
Because I am enough. And so since I am enough, I know I deserve to have what I want for my highest good, because I know exactly what I want and why I want it.
Yeah. Clarity.
Yeah.
Now, lucid dreaming, these are the 7 things that we get from lucid dreaming. We're not going to go into lucid dreaming because that's a huge topic, and I'm going to hold the book up one more time. Those who want to experiment with that, remember, I don't know if y'all have your notes, and I can give these notes away. To master lucid dreaming, you must be able to control your emotions, number 1.
Yes, gave it to us.
Right? Now, controlling emotions is everything, right? We've been taught, oh, well, I gotta control my emotions. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be who I am. I'm gonna be who I am. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Your emotions are not necessarily who you are, your personality, your character. It's none of that. Because if it was, so many good people would not be on death row for killing somebody in the heat of the moment, right? They lost control of their emotions, and somebody said, oh my God, they were such a good person. I don't know what happened. They've never even hurt an animal. But then they blacked out, they killed somebody, they're on death row in the blink of an eye. So controlling your emotions is the key to every single key to eating well, is the key to manifesting, is the key to great relationships. Have a specific goal before you go to sleep, number 2. So controlling emotions, number 1, having a specific goal before you go to sleep. Meditate into the dream state. So when you have that time to yourself, I had a day where I wanted to watch Netflix. I thought I didn't want to watch Netflix. I couldn't watch it. I thought I wanted to write. I didn't want to write. I tried to write. I couldn't write. I thought I wanted to read cards for YouTube. I couldn't do that. I didn't feel like doing that. I went in my room and I laid there and I messed around on YouTube and flipped channels. And when I woke up the next morning, I said, that was my time to meditate and manifest, to lay there with myself, to go into that dream. So whenever you feel like you just don't have a taste to do anything, think about doing that and filling that time with playing with meditation and dream state, because that is the good time to get in touch with what you're feeling, get in touch with your specific goals, and sit there and meditate until you go to sleep in that dream state on that goal, and decide on a cue that you are aware that you are dreaming. So remember when we talked about once you fall asleep and you begin to dream, the first thing you do is look at your hands. If you can't see all 5 of your fingers, you know that you're dreaming. After you wake up, write down what you've dreamed and then revisit the dream for complete manifestation the next night and the next night. Just keep doing it until you get so much control in there that you can actually master your dreams and know that life is just a dream. It's just a dream. So the thing about that is getting those answers that we talked about when we were when Harold, I think, was talking about dreams and things like that. And a lot of times when you talk about interpreting the dream, it's not always the common interpretation. Sometimes that's something that we have to sit with and see what that dream means for ourselves. I think that's the best way to do it. And then if somebody's inspired to kind of put something with that, but we know what those dreams mean on an instinctual level. So I just wanted to bring that back to everybody's attention. And last but not least, the books that we went over.
That's a good book right there.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful book. The Eye. That's a very powerful book.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I've got that one.
Yep.
These are some of the books that we came up with, Power versus Force. This is
Got that one.
a good one. So all of David Hawkins' books, Transcending Levels of Consciousness, those are good. And then, of course, Letting Go is really good.
Got that one.
I think those are good because they just open your mind up to the things that you're able to do. A lot of people don't like to get into a whole lot of reading and stuff like that. For whatever reason, they feel like it's a waste of time. But in times like these, where you're just kind of sitting there, I think it's a good thing to do.
Like my sister said yesterday, Deborah, just go read a book. I was like, okay, how you gonna call me out like that?
You don't have to read it cover to cover. I open up books wherever they are and I see what's in it for me at that time and I put it down. You know?
I do the same thing. I got my
Lost Book of Thomas is there. I really like that one.
What is that one again?
This is the Lost Book of Thomas. I always like lost books of the Bible and things like that because you just get that extra interpretation. Right. But basically, that's everything. We covered a lot.
We did.
Yeah, you did.
That was some rich stuff, and we used it all. Can't y'all see yourselves in all of this now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's not even a big deal anymore. Somebody comes along. Hey, Colette, how you doing?
Carlene.
Carlene, how you doing?
You mean y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't see Carlene. Can y'all see her?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
I can't see her.
You gotta look at Wayne.
Oh, okay. I can see them now.
I was standing over his shoulder.
Oh, but I can see you now. Hey.
Yeah.
Everybody got on their robes. I like those robes.
Oh, yeah. Robe life.
I like that one, Christine. Pink robe.
Okay.
Yep.
I just had to swipe it again.
So now when these things come up, they're no longer even a big deal. It's like you've already been there, done that. You're tasting it. You're seeing what it means to yourself. And we're calling each other, sharing it. Marilyn will call me and Deborah will call me and we'll be like, oh my God, let me tell you what I manifested. Let me tell you what I saw. Let me tell you what I dreamed. And this is what this environment is for. And I just always thank Apostle for allowing us to be able to share like we do, because there's no censorship. We can just explore, we can just share, and we can just expand, and we can just grow. And I just want to say that I appreciate each and every one of you. And I think that we're going to continue on this journey, and it's going to get really, really big.
Cool.
I like it.
All right. You crying, Candy?
For me? No.
Oh, I thought you was crying.
No, I don't cry that easily.
Okay,
but it would be nice if I did.
You look like you had got period.
No.
Okay.
Just thoughtful. Did anybody have anything they wanted to add?
This was powerful. Thank you. Truly powerful.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it as always. Good to see everybody.
Yeah. And we'll do
Bye.
this.
Namaste.
Yeah, namaste. Bye. So y'all, we're gonna do this. We'll do it once a month. Even though we used to do it every other week. I think once a month with everybody posting all kinds of stuff is probably enough, don't you all?
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good to me.
Yeah.
Unless something important comes up, like Christine says, hey, I got a hot topic, would y'all like to talk about it, or something like that. Other than that, Marilyn or you or myself.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
get
If you
enough
want to
things?
do it more, we can. Y'all let us know. We'll get together like we're doing now.
Mhm.
But until then, y'all continue doing what you're doing, and we'll continue sharing and growing. Christine, it was so good to see you. I don't get to see you as much as I get to see Deborah and Marilyn. So
Oh, yeah.
you look great, by the way.
She
Thank
does.
you.
Yeah, you're glowing. I don't know what you're doing, but you're glowing.
Oh, thanks. I'm pampering hard. 'Cause like I said, I'm just, it's something y'all said earlier, like in the beginning of this meeting, but like disillusionment. Like I feel like everyone has to like have that rite of passage. And
Yeah.
I know I've had one before, but I think my most recent one was like, ooh, girl, you high maintenance. Like it was like a moment, you know, where you're like, I'm actually way more high maintenance than I knew. And if I actually took care of myself in the way I need to, then I will attract people who are like, I see that and I want to invest in that. And I'm like seeing that now. Like I'm getting a lot of better suitors. So I was feeling that.
It takes a lot to take care of yourself. It takes a lot. It does.
Well, it goes right back to what Marilyn said in the beginning, when you realize, you know, who you are and the value in you, then you do give yourself the quality of attention that you deserve. So, hooray for you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so before we close out, Marilyn, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
You know, I'm like, hey, turn the page. No. Get a new book.
Get a new book.
Okay, come through. Yeah, and everyone is looking just like so cheery and rosy as well. So I'm like, I'm really feeling it. Like, yeah,
Good.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And
Well, but you know, but I will say this, you know, vineyards like this is very, very powerful because everybody gets to feed off of each other's evolving.
yeah,
And it's a safe environment that you're able to be yourself, and it's an environment where you can get healed and not even say what you're even dealing with, because somebody in groups like this, because we're doing our shadow work. And I would never forget the time that Christine, that night over at the center, and she was talking about, I never forgot that. She said, look, I don't want to effing be with nobody that's not doing that shadow work, because I'm doing my shadow work.
right.
I mean, but you know, but see, we're doing our shadow work, okay? And we're getting to hear that, oh, they've got some shadow work to do too. So I'm loving it, okay? I am loving this.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And Deborah, did you have any closing words?
No, I think everybody pretty much has summed up. So ditto, ditto, ditto.
Okay. All right. Well, until next time, y'all, reconstruct the world by reconstructing your mind. I know you can do it.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
Will do.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
the next time.
Love y'all.
Love you
Okie
too.
dokie. You too.
All right.